Doubles and coffee. Faris Arawi, you say Anil as a minister and Philip with bullying permanent secretary because a permanent secretary met Fitzgerald at Talbot, narcolepsy, wooden ladder, sleepy, sativa, ride a horse with an 8-year-old boy downstairs like a mailman in the Ministry of National Security. And then Fitzgerald at Talbot Hines said that it's a check he went to collect. The most ridiculous story ever. Let me tell you something, Faris Arawi, from a government that bullied the Auditor General and could not account for $2.6 billion, that bullied the entire population, that bullied every independent institution known to man. You fast and out of place. Let me tell you something to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. There are PSs who have lost their way over the years, that have become beholden to the PNM for favors, for jobs, for high cushy board positions after PNM wins elections. These permanent secretaries are corrupt. There are many of them. Some of them, I'll give you examples. Vishnu Danpal was a permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance. I told you all from earlier clock. Why is this permanent secretary espousing the virtues of the PNM economic and fiscal policy? That's not a permanent secretary job. A permanent secretary is the accounting officer. They have to simply follow financial rules and account for the taxpayers' dollars. Vishnu Danpal was in a ministry and he followed a lady called Allison Due Diligence Lewis. Allison Lewis was the permanent secretary, Ministry of Finance. While we were in government 2010 to 2015, we had to go to FNGP and we had to make sure and dot our I's and cross our T's, and she was there to make sure that this could be done or that couldn't be done. She was one of them who recommended that the World GTL assets that's dead money, that's bad debt. Don't bother with that. Don't try to re-energize it and bring it back. When the PNM won the election, when Rowley went in Parliament and lied on Emailgate, Allison Due Diligence Lewis, who was a permanent secretary, Ministry of Finance, jumped out and became a chairman of the PNM Port Authority Board that ended up buying 2 vessels from Bridgman's, a company that could not pass muster. They could not be allowed to even tender for 2 dinerment. But somehow, her due diligence, after being in charge of the financial rules, she approved Bridgman's and over $300 million still running, counting on the Kobo Star, that slow old vessel, 22,000 US per day, when it is valued at approximately 8,000 US a day. That wasn't it for Allison Due Diligence Lewis, permanent secretary. She was then put on the PNM Nikwan board. Nikwan, all you understand, where all your assets went. They gave ministerial gas to Nikwan. They gave them your $1 billion assets for 10 million US plus 25,000 in shares. The whole thing bust. They didn't stop there. Allison Lewis was on that board. She then also went on Republic Bank board where the government had shares, and miraculously Republic Bank gave Nikwan 120 million US loan when they could not produce 1 bit of diesel, 1 bit of nothing. The plant was nearly blowing up and killing people down in Point-a-Pear, Claxton Bay, down that area. People wall crack and so on. That is Allison Due Diligence Lewis, a former permanent secretary. She didn't stop there. When Rowley lied and said that the board had not found any suitable vessels for the sea bridge, a FYA request showed that there were actually 11 vessels that had bid, 4 of which are the same Austral and Incat vessels that are running right now. That is Allison Due Diligence, former permanent secretary. Why you think Marlene McDonald, before she died, got charged? Because a permanent secretary allowed a minister to get a check for a foundation that was in the minister family name or the minister's foundation without audited accounts, without a bank account. Calabar Foundation, go and see the building up there in Cascade. in St. Anne's, right up at the top before Cascadia Hotel, one old rickety-dong building that they say they spent nearly $500,000 to upkeep and so on. The reason they got charged is that the permanent secretary didn't follow the rules. The check should have never been made up. The process was not followed. So when you see that we have to call out permanent secretaries and other public servants and Pnm people who want to stay on boards and CEOs and managing directors, we have to let the population know, because Faris would love to leave his Pnm people there so they could thwart the government, so they could provide them with information, so that they could hide and cover up the corruption of the Pnm. So all public servants, get back your focus, because you're not supposed to be politicians. You are supposed to just follow whichever government wins the election. Make sure that they do things properly. And if they want to espouse and put forward their plans, programs, policies to impact the lives of citizens, then your job as a permanent secretary is to tell them, guide the government, this is how you must do it. This is the procurement procedure. This is the tendering procedure. This is the correct way. This is the accounting way. This is how you respond to audits. Not be a Pnm hoping to become a permanent secretary, moving on to a board of the Pnm, then to be a minister of finance, or to be a high commissioner of London, looking for perks from the Pnm. The Pnm has corrupted every part of our constitutional governance system. This Faris Al-Rawi talking about bullying. Faris Al-Rawi, you bully the DPP. You are the man who signed an indemnity agreement in a criminal matter with a criminal to give false witness against UNC former members. And you talking about bullying? You all bully the DPP when you try to put him in an office and that was not suitable, where them could have get killed from up in the hill. Gangsters could have shoot them right there next to them. There was no safety, security. All you pay $55 million and tell the DPP that he must go there and get the Chief Justice and everybody to talk bad about the DPP. You talking about bullying? You come from a government where you hug up and support Stuart Smallpin Young, who bully Imran Khan in CIC, bully people from St. Monica's, bully the whole Pnm to become the selected prime minister, and now he's nothing. He can't go up for election against Penny. Penny stronger and badder than Smallpin, and you talking about bullying? Not bullying anybody. We are aware of what the Pnm has done. We are aware of the Pnm sickness. We are aware of the Pnm usurping authority and infiltrating independent institutions, infiltrating the police service, intercepting merit lists and selecting their own commissioner of police, putting a Pnm in president's house who preaches the gospel of the Pnm. We know what the Pnm is, so don't try to defend your Pnm. If public servants, if permanent secretaries, if anybody does not want to do their job fairly and properly, they want to meet ministers in a car park in national security and hand them something, and the minister says a check. Minister's not paid by check. What was the check about? Where the paperwork for the check? How much was the check? Why the permanent secretary didn't give a delivery boy or driver or somebody to deliver the check? Why they didn't deliver it by TT Post, DHL or FedEx? Stop talking nonsense, boy. Faris Al-Rawi, understand. We ain't bullying nobody, but we're not letting the Pnm escape with their evil, corrupt ways. We're not letting the Pnm bully Kamla Persad and this government. And to all board members, especially Plipdeco, TTT board members, are they still there too? Pnm has lost. Go all your way. To all public servants, serve the people, do your job. You are not politicians, we are politicians. So don't take no side. Do your job properly. Follow the financial rules, the tender procedures, and therefore you won't have a government who would bully an auditor general because she accounted for the people money. Faris Al-Rawi, try to buy a looser pair of pants before you come in the Senate, and that makeup ain't working.